are doing our health section of the show. I'm with Dr. Theresa Nicassio. We have crossed paths for many, many years. I'm very excited you're on the show. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here.
I know you are. You're so awesome. Just make sure we don't giggle.
Yeah, well, we will giggle.
I know we will. Now, we're going to talk about leaky gut. And I'm happy that Dr. Nicassio is here because you know some stuff that a lot of people don't know. When it comes to leaky gut.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so actually, I want to share some things that I don't think anybody knows yet, because unless they're watching the scientists talk, watching YouTube's like Dr. Alessio Fasano, which I'm going to be talking about the kinds of things he talks about.
Yeah.
But I'm outing myself as a mom because I made a very simple model because I want to demo.
See, I was giggling. I was giggling because here we have this very educated, sophisticated doctor who is bringing in her arts and crafts today. But you know what? You're doing it in a way that will help us understand really what it means.
Yes, because it's important. Everybody's been saying, is gluten really a problem? Really, why? What is it? And so it's complex, so it's hard to just answer. And there's actually many factors, but this is a piece that has just recently come out with regard to the hard science, Harvard Medical Research, and talking about what happens when gluten enters our body. And I'm not talking now celiac disease. Everybody knows, if you have celiac disease, if you have
gluten intolerance.
Yeah, because then it can be those people. And then we can still do what we want.
Right.
But what they're discovering is that basically this is just relevant if you happen to be a human being. So if anybody's listening and watching who's a human being, what they're just...
That is not my teenage kids right about now.
And I just have to say, Tammy-Lynn, but people are not going to like what I'm going to share because it's not what we want to hear.
Okay.
And as a doctor, I'm a psychologist as my doctorate. And so I understand that when we have an emotional relationship with food, we don't want to change it, and we will find any reason not to.
Sure.
And that's okay. But I want people, if we make our decisions based on the facts, then it's much more empowering.
Okay.
So that's where I want to go. So basically, I want to just do a simple model of what happens. So when we eat food, we have, these are called the molecules of a protein, say, we'll pretend this is one.
Okay.
And then what happens is it's a complex thing, but then with every food we eat, except for one, what happens is the peptides, which are these aminos that are, they come apart into individual aminos.
Yes.
And then these little aminos, our body then takes it and either uses it, absorbs it, turns it into energy. I know you do a lot of shows about energy. You have that great expert who comes on about that. Or to build our cells, to build our being. And that's all good stuff,
But
right?
it has to break down.
It breaks down, into these individual things. So what happens, and what makes it break down is what are called enzymes, digestive enzymes, and the digestive enzymes come in and they cut these apart so that we can have individual pieces. Okay,
makes sense.
So that's all good.
So far, so good.
Okay, so everybody's got that. Now, there's one food that we eat, and it's a very special molecule that makes it pliable, stretchy. It makes these beautiful croissants. It's just like the pizza dough. It's so beautiful. It's so pliable.
Say donut.
Donuts. It doesn't break down.
Right.
It stays together.
Okay.
But what happens is, when we eat gluten, some of it, we get the enzymes, some of it will break down. Yeah, we'll still have some particles, right? It'll be nice, just like we want.
Yes.
But then there are others that don't fall apart. And then you have fragments. Well, you're going to notice that these fragments I've written with my daughter's old beads, with letters, things like leaky gut, inflammation, and so forth. So what happens is these particles, they're big molecules. So instead of what we want is when we eat food and it goes through our system, we want it to come out whole, right? And just come out the other side. It goes into the mouth and it goes out the other side.
Okay.
That's all good. But what happens, and I'm going to get into the details about this, is because of something called zonulin, and I mentioned it because it's a cool word, zonulin, it's a real word.
Okay.
It actually is in this peptide is in cahoots with zonulin. They're like criminals, and they work together. And it says, okay, please, please, please release my zonulin. And the zonulin says, woohoo! Zonulin makes it so that we have holes temporarily in our gut. So that instead of it being where things go through a hole and come out the other side, which is what is supposed to happen, zonulin, the evil one, goes in. It's like, and I'll talk about what these things are, but it goes through, and you can imagine you have these particles that instead of going out the other side, come out along the way. It can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, a common place is the brain, and which headaches are a very common thing. Migraines, I had those, and what most people don't realize is also where it goes. Typically, the biggest responses from a leaky gut is not in the gut. Is actually in the neurological system. So it's headaches.
Let's step back a little bit.
Yeah.
So we now know that this is all happening in this modern age. Was this happening 40 years ago?
Yes. So it's now this is getting into a very complex question because there are.
Should have asked.
Yeah. So because there's many different complexities of what the molecule looks like, the gluten molecule. They're right now investigating like hundreds of.
So what you're saying
forms.
is the gluten molecule is different today than it was before?
It is different for
Okay.
sure. So I'm speaking about the gluten molecule as we know it now.
Okay.
And what they're finding is what they've been able to identify and isolate that actually there's 5 different ones, but 4 different functions of these buggers have 4 different toxic effects on everybody. So inflammation, I mentioned, is one. It triggers the inflammation. Leaky gut is another. The zonulin, those criminals. Another that many people don't know is that it has this little guy, this peptide combo triggers cell death. It has a programmed cell death, and we're not talking about wanting to fight cancer. It's just like it'll kill healthy cells.
Okay.
And another is, and this is the most recent, is that it triggers an immune response in the body, which also ultimately leads to more inflammation. Now, you know, I saw you lots of your shows. What does inflammation lead to? What is it connected to? Cancer, heart disease, respiratory problems, joint, all kinds of
I mean,
autoimmune
if your
things.
body's in a state of inflammation constantly, there has to be the next step, which is all those bad things like cancer.
Yeah, well, ultimately, yeah. So ultimately, we have choices.
Okay.
But Dr. Fasano is really working hard to get it out in the public. But it's really hard to get something that's so unpopular and that everybody wants to dispute because does it really? Because we love our croissants, we love our donuts.
But if it's going to make you, and we're not talking just I have a stomachache sick, but make you very, very sick, you should look into it more. Dr. Theresa, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, my
More
pleasure.
information is on your website, I presume.
Oh, absolutely.
Go to her site, full of information. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.